By the late 1800s, trade became famous because of the Mississippi River. Longboatmen eventually were replaced by the steamboats transported animal pelts, indigo and of course, cotton, on the Mississippi River, making Lake Providence a significant trading town. The carpetbaggers or scalawags, as they were called, were greedy and heartless men who took advantage of the situation because there was a long line of abandoned plantations leased by the military. They wanted free labor, slaves. These scalawags were nothing more than ruthless overseers. They said the most negligent planter had shown more respect for their slave than these men. I'm going to say this and continue because I don't enjoy thinking about this and you can read about that on your own. But slaves that were too old, sick or too young were weeded out and sent to federal contraband villages in camps along the river. These villages included Wilmon, Transylvania, Omega, Ashley, and lastly here in Tallulah. And Highway 65 was born. Pausing for a minute, he continued. Oh, I will also say that they charged the slaves up to 5 times the actual value of things. Slaves were always told that the master owed them nothing by the end of the year, but they actually owed him money, and they would often boast about their deception. So, we were always in debt, and many felt they could never get out from under them. So, our people were mentally, physically, and financially slaves, and they held us back for centuries. Anywho, one of these plantations was Erie Plantation. This is where one of our descendant was a slave, Willis Reynolds, Sr. We know very little of his birth or death. But according to the 1880 census of Erie Plantation, Willis and Kate were born in 1854. His parents were from Virginia, and her parents were from Florida. It was a common practice to take our people's babies at or near birth so their parents weren't able to teach them who they were. But that's another story for later. Willis and Kate, at that time, only had 4 kids: Sims, William, Samuel, and Rebecca. However, they had 5 more who came along later: Grant, Leona, Albert, Belle, and Sue. They had names from their former slave owners. In their case, it was Reynolds. As a matter of fact, everyone had surnames or government names back then, and clans were not adopted again until the Abenians came on the scene. Education was poor back then, most never saw the 6th grade. His son, Sam or Samuel Reynolds, was born in 1875 as a sharecropper but died a free man right here in Tallulah. In 1985, they named me after him. Sam Reynolds married Cherry Relic on March 8, 1920, in Chickett, Arkansas. She was born in 1902 and died in 1998. Even her last name was spelled more than one way, like Reddick and Relics, and they had 5 boys: Sam Jr., Willis, Clifton, James, and John. They had 5 girls: Elizabeth, Essie Lee, John's twin sister, Cora Lee, Lee Gussie, and the baby girl, our descendant, Mary Reynolds. Cherry's mother was Mariah Johnson, and her parents were Tom and Violet Johnson, both born in Lake Providence. Tom and Violet had 2 other children named Susan and Henry. Little is known of Cherry's father other than he died in Mississippi. There are speculations that his name might have been Ben, Benny, or Mac, and he lived in Bolivar County, Mississippi. But her mother, Mariah, remarried Silas Diggs, Sr., and they had Willie, Isaiah, Hezekiah, Elizabeth, Lizzie, Silas Jr., and Wesley. These are your ancestors from your mother's side of the family.